Hello fashion lovers, welcome back to my channel. So in today's tutorial I'll be teaching you how to cut and sew this mesh dress. I'm using a mesh fabric for the upper part. So the trick here is that you will learn how to work with your mesh fabric so that you can balance on your body so well. So first thing I did was to get my pattern paper and divide it into two. I used my hip measurement. The hip here is 40 inches divided by 4 is 10. So I made sure I had 10 on both sides. Then I went on to draw my starting line. I also want to let you know that in this class you have a lot to learn. The easy way for you to do your gathered dress, for it to be in equal on the down part. So right here now I went on to mark my shoulder to bust, which is 10.5, my shoulder to waist, which is 17.5, and then my shoulder to hip, which is 26.5, and then my full length. The full length of this dress is 60 inches, so I added extra 2 inches for it to drop to the floor. But once you take your client's measurements, add like extra 2 to 3 inches or even more, depending if the person wants to carry her dress on the hand and all of it. It depends on how full and how long the client wants it. So right now I went on to draw the same line and then connect all my points. This is for the front part. This is the bust line. I connected it. This is my waistline. I'm also connecting, and after which I will connect the same thing to the back. In this class also you are going to learn how to remove your zipper bulge without you going to recognize your bust darts and the difference between your front length and your back length. So these are the things you are going to learn in this class, so sit back and watch. So right now I have drawn all the lines, so I will also go ahead now to mark out my shoulder to chest line. How do I do it? From my bust I came up by 1.5 to 2 inches, and then I draw to get my chest line. This is standard. Most times I use 2 inches, sometimes I use 1.5. It depends on what I am working on. If I'm working on stretchy materials I do 1.5, but if it's non-stretchy material I prefer to do 2 inches. All right, so the next thing I went on is to impute my shoulder. My shoulder here is 8 inches. That's 16 divided by 2 is 8, but I did not impute that 8. I removed half an inch from my shoulder. Remember, this material is stretchy, so I want it to sit properly on the shoulder, so I am minus half an inch, and then what I got is 7.5. So I went on to draw my neckline, and my neckline is 2.5 width and the depth is 2 inches in depth. Then I did my shoulder slant of 1 inch and I connected all this. The next is to draw out my armhole curve. For anytime you want to make a turtleneck, it's best you use 2.5 by 2 inches. It's always nice if you do that, it sits well. So I took the same thing to the back. I did my chest line. Instead of 8 inches I did 7.5. Then for my back neckline I did 2.5 by half an inch. Wow, you might say, why did I use half an inch? Yes, I used half an inch because I'm not going to add any sewing allowance, so I will take the sewing allowance from my material, so I'm not adding anything to it. So by the time I will take in that half inch, it means that I've taken in 1 inch already. So these are the little tricks on how to sew with a mesh fabric. So the next thing I will do now is to go ahead and impute my measurements. Okay, my bust here is 38 divided by 4 is 9.5. My waist divided by 4 is 7.5, and my hip divided by 4 is 10. That same 10 I will take it down to the hemline. So right now I'm connecting all my lines. If you're really enjoying this video, I would like you to give us a thumbs up, like, share and comment. If there's any part of this video you still want me to talk about, feel free to say it at the comment section. I'll be right there to answer you and then reply you with videos if necessary. So right now I am going ahead to connect the 10-inch I have on my hip straight down. It's like where you are making a straight skirt or a straight gown. Remember, we are still going to add more fullness to this, so this does not really matter. All you need right now is that straight effect down to the hemline of your dress. So the same thing, I went to the back, I imputed my bust measurement divided by 4, which is 9.5, my waist divided by 4, which is 7.5, and my hip divided by 4, which is 10, and I took down the same 10 down to the length of my dress. Then I went ahead to connect just as you are seeing it right now. So now after the connection, the next thing I will go ahead to do is the zipper bulge removal. So this zipper bulge removal, this is how you do it for your mesh dresses. This is basically one of the reasons I decided to do it on paper, so you can see it clearly. So I went in by 1 inch for the zipper bulge removal. I went in by 1 inch for the zipper bulge, and then I connected to the neckline, and then 6 inches below, above the hip line as well. Then I replaced that 1 inch and then went ahead to reconnect all my lines. I did not only do this 1 inch, I later removed half inch on both sides of the hip, so I will still show you just as the video is still on. So you have a lot to learn in this class. So I'm going ahead now to label so you don't get confused: my chest line, my bust line, my waistline, and my hip line. The next thing I'll do now is to do the basque effect on this dress. Now, if you watch this video, you see that the basque effect started like 3 inches below the waistline. So this is what I marked. You can choose to do 1.5, you can choose to do 2 inches, but I did 3 inches below the waistline because this style really came down up to that. So I slanted from that 3 inches direct to my hip line. The same thing is what I will go to the back to do. So the same thing, I marked 3, I took it also to the back and I marked it as well. Then I went ahead to connect just as you are seeing it. So the same, they need to be equal. The same 3 inches in front, the same 3 inches at the back. So right now we are done with the drafting, and I will go ahead to cut out this piece. I hope you're enjoying this class, and I hope you give us a thumbs up, you give us a share and a like. So I've cut out the front. Right now I'm cutting out the back. So I'm labeling this so we don't get confused. Why did I label it? I labeled it so that you can know the difference between the front and the back, because the back has this zipper bulge removal. Now the down part of this skirt, I will just use one of it to cut both the front and the back. You don't need to stress yourself so much. So this class is very easy. So right now I'm cutting out the back pattern. I'm cutting out the back pattern. So after cutting out this back pattern, I will go ahead to bring in my fabric and cut it directly on my fabric. But then remember, I said we are going to do more of the zipper bulge remover. So I went ahead to remove half an inch up and half an inch down. This is another extra 1 inch. Why? Because this fabric is really stretchy. I don't want anything that will give it that wavy effect when the client wears this dress. So I went on to tape it down so that I can cut out on my fabric. This is very important. If you do all these in your mesh dresses and any stretchy dress, I promise you, you will not have any bulky effect at your zipper area. So right now I went ahead to cut out the fabric. Now take note, all the cutting I'm doing on this mesh material, I am not adding even half of an inch. I'm not adding anything like an inch. I am not adding, I didn't even add an allowance. You can even reduce more. If that material is so stretchy, you can reduce up to 2 inches in each of the measurements, the bust, the waist, and even the hip. But you can choose to leave the hip because it's a gathered dress, but the bust and the waist is very important. If your fabric is so stretchy, remove up to 2 inches to 3 inches. Even this back as well, I didn't even add the zipper allowance. I will still take this zipper allowance from this material, and it will sit so perfect. So guys, you don't have to add any sewing allowance or zipper allowance when you are making mesh dresses. So with this, it is ready. I'll go ahead now to cut out the material. I folded this adire crepe into two, and I have to measure what I have when I divide it by two. And when I checked, what I have here is 52. 52 by 2 is 26. So this is half of the material. So I will mark out the line so I can know where the center is. So I will bring my skirt pattern and then place it directly on this line. And note that I shifted it away from the center front, that's the folded part of the material, so that from there I can take in my basque. So pay attention, this is very easy. So see the folded parts, then look at where I placed my pattern, my skirt pattern. So the next thing I'll go ahead to do now is to measure what I have from that point to the hip line. What I have is around 7 inches. Then I'll go ahead and also measure 7 inches on the folded parts, and then I will connect it with a slanted line to that point where my paper stopped. That's the hip, the waist point rather, the waist point. You see what I just did? So this is okay. Once you do this, you will not have some parts being longer than each other. Everything will be sitting pretty, everything will be fine. Even every other dress you want to make that has gathered and it has a basque, this is also a beautiful way for you to do that. So I'm going ahead now to cut. I started from the down. Remember, this is really long, so I started from the down part and I went ahead to cut this out. So once I cut out, I will still use the same Ankara adire, this same pattern I cut out. I'll use this same pattern I cut out, place it on the other fabric. Remember, they are equal. That is why it is important for you to fold them into two. So this is the leftover and this is the one that is folded. So remember, they are equal. I'll remove this pattern paper and then cut just the same way the slant went. Because if you look at that dress, the front and the back has basque effect, both in the front and also at the back. So once I've done this, it is ready. I will have two pieces for the back and one piece for the front. Why do I have two pieces? Because it is no longer folded. So I will just join it and then gather at the back. So right now this dress has a flay at the sleeve. So what I did was to get a material, fold it into two, 20 by 8, then fold it again to have 10 by 4. Then I went ahead to open it up with 1 inch. You can even do 0.75, so it's not too much for your round sleeve. So it's better it's small, then you trim a little than when it is much. So from that 1 inch, I added extra 6 inches, which is making it 7 inches. So that by the time I remove that 1 inch, I will still arrive at the 6 inches for the flay. So I went ahead now to cut out that 1 inch, which is leaving us with the 6 inches. Then I'm cutting out the 6 inches. I left like half an inch that I can use to fold the mouth and then join the cuff. So I've went on to join my upper parts. This is an invisible zipper, so I'm going to put it at the back of this dress. Then the next thing is to put the gather. So I now brought the gathers, the fabric, and then this is how I'm going to gather it. Then if you check, you will see the neck is turtleneck. So I will also go ahead to cut out the turtleneck. I'll show you also how to cut the turtleneck. So look at this. This is how I will gather it and then sew it. So right now, I will bring a piece of that materials and fold it in a bias form. Now the round neck of my client is 14. I'll remove like 3 inches because this fabric is really stretchy. By the time I will drag it and sew it on my dress, it will sit properly. So I marked 10 inches in length and then 2 inch at the width. So this 2 inch is inclusive of the sewing allowance. I'm not adding extra. So by the time I will sew it with half an inch, I'll still have 1.5 left, which will balance and relax so well. Folding your turtleneck in bias is very important. So this is the final result of the dress. So note, anytime you are sewing a mesh dress, always stretch while you sew so that you don't have your dress, cotton thread when you are wearing it. So isn't this beautiful? Like, comment, share, and follow us for more tutorials on this channel. See you. Bye.